Okay. And we are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. We are going to be discussing something that is extremely valuable and extremely important to understand. This is literally one of the most important things that you could really allow yourself to work with and be aware of, literally. Okay. We're going to be discussing about the nervous system in this today's video. And we're going to be talking a little bit about how the nervous system literally governs every single thing that is currently taking place in your life right now. And how, as you become more aware of how the nervous system itself is functioning, you are then able to understand what's going on within your own internal system with your own nervous system to then be able to start potentially identifying, why is my life going the way that it's going? Why am I feeling the way that it is that I'm feeling? And what are some of the things that I could potentially do to improve my life? And how can I actually use this education to feel better on a daily basis and even realize that's naturally what we're designed for? Okay, so once again, I'm going to be discussing the importance of the nervous system and how the nervous system fluctuates between pretty much three primary different states. And this is going to allow you, as the listener, to really understand your own nervous system to a much stronger degree so that you can better navigate your daily life. Okay, this can literally be life transforming. This is the roots of your own body system. Literally, that's what the nervous system is. So, if this is something that you feel like you want to learn a little bit more about, then you simply have one thing to do, and that is to stay tuned. And I will see you on the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's jump right into this today's video. So, for those of you that don't know, let me give a little bit of an introduction of who I am. Once again, just in case you don't know, my name is JeremiahJSchwartz. I am a professional occultist. I'm fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree, studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck, studied when it comes to planetary energies in association with astrology, as well as very aware of trauma and its relationship to your nervous system. So let's go ahead and let's get into the subject today. So we're talking about the nervous system. We're talking about what exactly is the nervous system and how important is it to understand so that we can tell what's going on inside of our bodies on a sensational level, on an emotional level, on a physical level, on a spiritual level. And with this understanding of what's going on internally, potentially, is this able to allow us to completely change our entire life, our entire reality to be more in resonance with our authentic self or to be more in resonance with our, we could say literally our most powerful self, okay? Our highest potential, if you will. So here's the reality. When it comes to the nervous system, this is literally the roots of the body itself. Like if you actually were to look at the nervous system and how the nerves function throughout the body, they literally are the roots to our own tree. So the nervous system is the root of what is pretty much driving every function that is taking place on your body, within your body, all these different avenues of what it means to be human. The nervous system is the roots to this. So you could think of the nervous system as almost being this energetic receptor that is able to take on and pull in different frequencies, different energies, different vibrations, we could say. And it's able to move these through the body through energy and motion. And depending on the state of your own nervous system, it is either going to flow through your system in a regulated way, or it's going to kind of get blocked up in certain areas that is going to cause a sense of blockage, a sense of stoppage. And the way that this can often manifest is in a way where there is a fight or flight response or a shutting down and a freeze response. So the nervous system is so important to take into account and so important to recognize how valuable it is and how we want to allow ourselves to our best ability to be more so in a regulated state of being with the nervous system itself. When we are in regulation, energies in motion flow through our bodies and they move us in certain ways and in certain directions that are literally going to be very valuable for us. When we are dysregulated, energies still move through our body, but there's a little bit more of a tension, a little bit more of a pressure, and a little bit more of a discord that starts to manifest because the energy is not necessarily flowing as effortlessly as it's wanting to. Now, one of the main reasons why the nervous system can be sort of stuck in a state of dysregulation is going to be because of the traumas that we've been through in our past that are in relationship to the emotion that we experienced from those traumas and how we repressed this emotion, which basically froze it inside of our nervous systems. So there are literally energies in motion, emotions that literally get frozen inside of our nervous systems. And when we are living in a certain way where we are separating from our bodies or we're separating from our sensations and our emotions, and we're not allowing ourselves to truly feel these things and be with these things, what this does is it further suppresses and it keeps that emotion from the past frozen within the nervous system. Now, a lot of the times, this emotion is going to be a more densely charged negative emotion because it was rooted in some form of trauma. And as that is being stored or held within your nervous system, it is creating a blockage of the natural flow of how other energies are supposed to be moving through your nervous system. So, of course, working with these different repressed energies in the nervous system is literally the key to how we get ourselves into more of a regulated state and allow ourselves to process things in a much more healthy way. So, let me explain a little bit about these different states of how the nervous system functions and what that really looks like. So, we have these states within the nervous system that I'm going to break down in a practical way so that you can really understand what they're referring to. So, we could use the concept of a green light. So, that's the go. That would be a regulated state. So, that would be your green light. That is your regulation. Now, as we go from the green light, as we go from regulation, where things are flowing, where there is literally like a sense of being able to let go. There's a sense of being connected to all things. There's a sense that things are just naturally working out for you. And literally, I mean, it's funny, but it's like you don't even have to put in that much effort. You just literally feel like things work for you. It's almost like you have a sense that universal luck is always coming to you because being in that state of regulation, you are very tuned into your own unconscious and your own subconscious mind. And that has a significant effect on how things are actually happening around you. And once again, with a regulated nervous system, you generally are going to be feeling good and feeling lighter. You're going to be connected to more of that heart space connection that people talk about. When you communicate with other people, you're communicating from a space of really wanting to understand and sort of being able to even feel what it is that they're saying, what it is that they're even communicating. You can really tune into other people's emotions. So this is what a regulated state looks like. Now, as we are moving into the other state of the nervous system, we're now going from regulated down into the first step of being dysregulated. And this is going to be what is called the fight or flight state. This is the fight or flight response. So, this, if we're using that same analogy of the green light, the yellow light, and the red light, this would be the yellow light. So, this is going to be the fight or flight response where the nervous system is in a state where it's not feeling safe. And what it's trying to do to protect the self is it is putting you into a state where you feel like you need to fight all the time or you feel like you need to flee. So, the way that this is generally going to manifest in your daily life is there is often a consistent sense of anger or a consistent sense of frustration or a consistent, whatever the emotion is, there's a sense of needing to protect yourself all the time. There's a sense of almost seeing things as separate from yourself. So the reason why you start seeing things as separate from yourself because you don't feel safe. So you're looking for potential threats that are in your environment, even if there's not any threats. But being in this dysregulated state, the fight or flight response, you're actually, in many ways, you're even creating certain types of threats because your nervous system is in that state where it's looking for threats. So the power of the mind is so significant. When we're in this state, we're actually creating more opportunity for things to sort of challenge us or come at us in that type of fight or flight way. And of course, we're just going to be attracting other experiences and circumstances that are in relation to that state. So, this is what that yellow light fight or flight response looks like within the nervous system. And once again, the main reason why the nervous system gets to this place is because there is a sense of unsafety. And there are also other ways that the nervous system can get triggered into this state. And a lot of times, this just has to do with the traumas from our past, the repressed emotions, and sometimes we get triggered. And as we get triggered from certain experiences, because we have these repressed emotions in our system, it can easily take us from a regulated state down into a dysregulated state where now the trigger is making us feel like we're back in the environment or we're back in the relationship that once traumatized us. Okay. Now, one of the most important things to know about this is that it's not bad to be dysregulated. Okay. This is not something you should shame yourself about. This is not something that you should be upset about. This is not something that you should be afraid of. This is natural when it comes to the growth process. You are going to get dysregulated when you are on a healing journey. Matter of fact, most of you listening to this now are probably already dysregulated. You just don't even know it. You're living your life dysregulated and you think that's normal. Okay. So, of course, when you start to really go deep with your, process and you start to apply safety and apply a healthy foundation, you do get to a point where you do feel regulated and then you get more of a contrastual difference of what it feels like to be regulated to then go down to dysregulation again. But once again, what you're also going to notice is that that's a natural part of the journey. So you can go from regulation and be in a regulated state for a long period of time, and then something could potentially trigger you or something could come through that opens up a deeper layer within your past trauma. And then it shifts you back into dysregulation, back into a fight or flight response. And that's natural and that's healthy. But I think the most important thing to really understand when this is taking place is having self awareness to realize, oh, I was just regulated. This thing took place. This thing happened. Now I'm not that regulated. Now I'm self aware enough to realize I'm a little bit more protected. I'm a little bit more defensive. I'm a little bit more in a fight or flight response. Okay. So that awareness of the process can be so helpful, and there's nothing wrong about it. So, as this is the yellow light for dysregulation, the third state that we then move into is going to be shut down. So, this is like a complete freeze and a complete shutdown state. So, in regards to the light analogy, this would be the red light. So this is like the idea that we are going through so much trauma and we're experiencing so much threat or so much unsafety within our environment or within our relationships that we are literally shutting down on a nervous system level where we're not even engaging with what's happening whatsoever. And we're just allowing what is taking place to take place in some regards to try to restore or regenerate energy. And it's kind of like the response that some animals have when they're in the wild and they are, let's say, for example, you have a gazelle that's getting chased by a lion, and then the lion catches up to the gazelle. A lot of the times, these gazelles, they will actually have a freeze response within their nervous system. They will have a shut down response where they will literally act like they're dead because their nervous system is literally preparing to get eaten alive. So it will just shut down and then they'll act like they're dead. That is sort of similar to what takes place within our nervous systems when we are going through a lot of unsafety or a lot of dense emotions that we really do not have capacity to go through, or a lot of abuse. So we will freeze and we will shut down. And this is just like literally just checking out. It's like you don't have the urge to fight against it. You don't have the urge to run away from it. You are definitely not feeling good in this situation. It's not feeling like things are flowing and like they're supposed to be happening that way. It's like I'm going through so much abuse or I'm experiencing so much heaviness right now that I am just going to completely check out from reality in many respects and just freeze and just sit here and just be in that moment, right? So there's a shutdown that takes place. All right. And this would be, once again, the lowest state when it comes to nervous system regulation. And, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that experience this red light state of shutdown and freeze in their everyday life. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're always in that state. You can bounce from shut down to fight or flight. And then when you're done with work, you can go back to shut down. Or if you're in like a toxic relationship, you could be in shut down in that relationship and then jump up to fight or flight when you're outside of the relationship. And then when you get back home, you're back into freeze. So the nervous system can also fluctuate between these different states as well. But of course, if you're in that state where you are, I mean, largely it's a strong sense of disassociation that's taking place in a very deep shutdown or a very deep freeze. If you're noticing this is what's happening in your life, that is a pretty clear indication something needs to shift on a safety level or on a foundational level, whether it's environments, whether it's relationships. Okay, because the body doesn't like to stay in that state. It's not designed to stay in that state long term. And it can be very damaging to your entire body and to your nervous system to always be in that state. But it is the nervous system's way to try to keep you safe or to try to protect you, because it's like you're going through so much and this is how we're going to numb you out, or this is how we're just going to surrender to this pain. Okay. So, with these three states of the nervous system, obviously, this is very valuable information to understand and to allow yourself to process and to integrate. Now, adding to this specific subject, this is what's really awesome. When you start realizing, oh, my nervous system has these automatic responses, meaning these different states that it is that I'm describing, this is not stuff that you're necessarily controlling. This is stuff that is unconsciously taking place most of the times, and it's your nervous system that is fluctuating between these states. So it's not something that you even have to be aware of to be able to control, like, oh, do I go to regulation or do I go to dysregulation for the most part? Now, of course, at a certain degree of awareness, you can use your mind to better understand what regulation is and sort of lean in that direction to get more regulated. But overall, it's your nervous system that is doing the whole process itself. So the nervous system is going through the process of fluctuating between these different states based on our levels of safety, based on, once again, what's happening within our environments, as well as what's taking place within our relationships. This is so important to know. This is so important to understand. Why is this important to understand? Because now we have the formula and we have the key to allow ourselves to go from a state of dysregulation to regulation. And as I said, what does that? Safety and what's going on within our relationships and our environments. Largely, this is largely what does it. So, the first step to allow yourself to start moving into a regulated state is to realize, where am I now? What state do I feel like I might be in right now? So the reality is that most of you listening to this are going to be in a fight or flight state. So once again, you're sort of always on a little bit of alert. You're a little bit on edge. You're looking for threats in the environment. You're checking to see if you trust people. Do you not trust people? You're kind of like maybe a little bit more competitive. You're seeing things a little bit more separated, like me against you. You're good, I'm bad, or excuse me, I'm good, you're bad kind of energy, or they're good, they're bad type of energy. There's like a dualistic property to this fight or flight energy. Us against them type of energy. This is all fight or flight response. This is all yellow light regulation in the system. So when you identify that and you realize, okay, this is where I truly think I am, like being completely honest with myself, this is where I truly think that I'm at. Then what we can start doing is we can start moving more so into a regulated state. And the first place that we really want to start with that is we want to start with the foundation, and we want to start by creating safety. So, once again, the reason why the nervous system can get triggered into fight or flight responses and it can stay there is simply because we have repressed negative emotions already in our nervous system from past trauma. And we're probably in an environment or in relationships that are continuously reflecting back that same trauma from our past. And we're not even conscious of it. So we may be in environments and we may be in relationships that are literally consistently keeping us in a triggered state because they are actually reminding us on a nervous system level from what we experienced in the past. That was a trauma. So the reason why this can get complex is because if you're trying to think right now and you're like, okay, let me look at my relationships, let me look at my environments, and am I noticing anything from my past that could be similar? Now, the reason why this can go so deep is because your mind oftentimes won't even remember some of the most severe traumas that you went through, because that's another protective mechanism of the body to actually block out memory. But the nervous system, the body itself, on a sensational level and an emotional level, remembers it. So you could walk into an environment, it could remind you something in regards to the past, and your nervous system will have a response, and your mind might not even know what's happening. You will have like no logical understanding. Why am I feeling this way? Why is my body acting this way? What's going on? It's because the nervous system is the roots of your entire being, and it is intelligent. So it's remembering something from the past. And that's the first place that we want to start. The nervous system is intelligent in that way. And what we want to do is we want to support it to our best ability to create safety. We want to work on the foundation. And one of those key proponents of what the foundation does is creates safety for us. So we want to make sure that the environments it is that we're working with or that we're working in are not inherently abusive environments. It's going to be hard to regulate your nervous system. It's actually not, let me go as far as saying that it's going to be impossible to regulate your nervous system if you are in a consistently abusive environment, or if you are in a consistently abusive relationship or multiple relationships. A lot of the times it could be your own family. That's literally a lot of times that's what it is, people and their family relationships. So that's the first place that we really want to start. Now, how do we start really identifying, is my environment abusive? Is my relationship abusive? Is this what is unsafe in my life right now? The first place that we really want to start with that is we want to start with identifying what are the sensations and the emotions that are manifesting inside of my body. So, literally, the key to healing the repressed emotions that are already in the nervous system from the past is to allow ourselves to actually start feeling them and noticing them on a sensational level so that they can start processing. They can start integrating. And as I say processing and integrating, what I want you to think is that they're finding a way to sort of dissolve out of the system, out of the nervous system, because we're with that, because we're feeling that. That's the first place we want to start. So if we're listening to our body sensations and we're tuned into our emotions and we're consistently feeling like shit, or we're consistently getting triggered and angry, and this is happening chronically, meaning it's not shifting, but it's chronic, that is often an indication that there's something in the environment or there's something in a relationship that is keeping you in that chronic state of being triggered. A lot of the times this is going to show up through anger, through aggression, through different forms of frustration. Okay? So if you're in that chronic state where you're always having to protect yourself and you're always on edge, look towards your environment, look towards where you work, look towards your work environment, look towards the people that you're associating yourself with, your different friends, look towards your family, look towards your partner, the person that you're dating. Okay, these are the things that you want to really be aware of and realize, like, am I in a toxic environment or am I in toxic relationships? And when you start to address that, that allows you to now be in a position where you can start creating safety for yourself. You can start having safety, I should say. And naturally, as you have safety, you are going to be able to much more effectively process and integrate some of these different repressed emotions that are inside of your nervous system. So if you're noticing that once you create safety for yourself and you're not having to deal with the trigger over and over again, you're not having to deal with the toxic relationship environment, you're now in a place where it's like, okay, I'm with me now. And I know this thing isn't going to continuously abuse me the way that it has been. So what is it that I'm feeling now? Like, what is it truly right now in this moment that I'm feeling inside of my body on a sensational level and an emotional level? It might be anger. It might be aggression. It might be sadness, it might be fear, it might be anxiety. I think for a lot of people, though, it's probably gonna be anger at first because that is the body's natural response. It's the nervous system's natural response to wanna create boundaries and to wanna protect yourself. So, after having been in an abusive environment or relationship for a long time, you've probably got a lot of anger built up inside of you because your nervous system was trying to have you create a boundary with that a long time ago. So, honoring what it is that you're feeling on a sensation level as well as an emotional level is literally how we start healing and how we start processing. And as we're allowing ourselves to do this in relationship to having safety within our environment and within ourself and with our relationships, we are naturally, and I'm telling you this, you will naturally start to regulate yourself. Your body, your nervous system will literally naturally, you don't have to control this. It will naturally start to return to its natural state, which is truly a state of regulation. That is literally the natural state that your soul and your spirit and your nervous system wants you to be in. Now, when you've gone through significant amounts of trauma in your life and you've lived the majority of your life in a fight or flight response, that is also going to be wired within your system to, in many ways, try to stay in that state. So there are many people that have been wired so deeply to be in a fight or flight state that they don't even understand whatsoever what regulation looks like or what it could feel like. And if they started to experience it, part of them will want to go back to fight or flight. So this could look like someone creating safety in their life and starting to feel and process these repressed emotions. And as they're starting to regulate and they're starting to feel that sense of letting go, something returns them. There could be a nervous system response due to its previous wiring that says we're going back into the toxic relationship. We're going back into the toxic environment because we remember that state of dysregulation because this is how we've lived for all these years. So we want to return back to what's known and what's comfortable because it's known rather than letting go and going through the true feeling process, integrating process, and actually gradually starting to feel better, starting to feel lighter, starting to literally live in a way that is so much more valuable for your life experience. So, this is something that also takes place. But as I was saying, when we have these things established, naturally, what is starting to take place is we are starting to regulate ourselves. We're starting to move into that state where we are feeling lighter, where we are feeling like things are more connected. We're no longer seeing things from that lens of competition, and we're no longer seeing things from that lens of separation. Rather, we're starting to feel the love, literally the unconditional love that exists within all people, within all things. And we feel connected to that. And there is a sense of ease to life when you're in a regulated state because things just naturally flow and they naturally work out. And the more you're experiencing regulation, the more these repressed emotions naturally are able to come up through the surface within your body still and then process themselves while you're still in a regulated state. So you can be regulated and process your traumas while still being regulated when you have enough safety in your environment, when you have enough safety in your relationships. Now, of course, there will be times where you open up a really deep layer inside of yourself and it brings you back down to dysregulation. And that's natural. This is what it means to have neuroplasticity or nervous system flexibility is the ability to recognize, wow, this is how I was living my life. This is what I was doing to honor my process, to feel my emotions, and to create safety. This is what I was doing to get me to this regulated state. And then this thing took place, and I had this experience, and this brought me to a dysregulated state. And now I'm aware. I'm literally aware of how my body just shifted from feeling really light, open hearted, connected to things, and then is now dropping down more into, okay, I'm a little bit more competitive. I'm a little bit more closed off. I'm trying to protect myself. I'm scanning my environment for danger. That is very natural and it's very healthy that people can have that awareness to understand what's actually going on within their own system. And it's okay. So when you're in a fight or flight response, it's not that we have to get ourselves back to regulation or else things are going to go bad. It's you got to then honor what's happening in that fight or flight response. And a lot of the times, as I've said before, what drives that energy is anger. So we have to start allowing ourselves to feel the sensation and the emotion of the anger and allow that protector part of us to kind of come through to create boundaries or to just express itself and show itself so that we have the acceptance for this part of our being because it's just trying to protect us. And then as we start to work with that and we process that and we work with that emotion and we have that acceptance for this part of ourself, and then we go back to our healthy foundation, we go back to creating the safety that we know we can have, we will naturally start to return back to a regulated state again where things are flowing, things get lighter, and this is so powerful when you notice your system go between these different states and when you're conscious of it, because now you're aware. Now you're actually understanding and you're trusting yourself more. There's literally a deep sense of confidence that comes into the person that is aware of their nervous system states because you can trust that it's okay to get dysregulated and you can trust that you can become aware of what's generally causing the dysregulation and you can trust that once you reapply the healthy foundation and create more safety that you will return back to regulation, you will feel good again. So it gives you time to, like, when you're getting deeply triggered, to go into the depths of your triggers. Feel the extent of that pain, feel the extent of that rage, and then feel the extent of the sadness and the abandonment and the loneliness and the fear that's behind all of that. And you can go into that so deeply, knowing that the deeper you're allowing yourself to respect and accept the sensations and the emotions within your body, the more you are allowing yourself to return back to regulation, because that's the healing process. Some of the deepest healings that we actually do bring us into a dysregulated state that is not comfortable to be in, especially once you understand the contrast, and then going into the deep emotion that's truly getting triggered in the fight or flight state response. So rather than just completely identifying with that protector part of you from the fight or flight response and start blaming the world around you and start seeing yourself as a victim, or having to attach to that energy of protecting, you can just acknowledge the energy for what it is, let it come through the system, but also realize there's deeper emotions that are wanting to be felt here. And you can do that by, once again, tuning into your body sensations and tuning into your emotions and allowing yourself to feel these things when you're in that uncomfortable state of the fight or flight or the freeze state. So when you're in a freeze state, when you're in a shutdown state, this can be a little bit harder to honestly process those emotions, because with that, there often is different degrees of disassociation, which means you're separating from your body as a whole. So one of the best things that you can do if you're in that state is realize being in that state is a pretty clear indication something needs to shift. And that, once again, is going to be in the environment or it's going to be with relationships. So if you can allow that shift to happen, if you can move from freeze to fight or flight and then create a boundary with whatever's causing the freeze, then you can get yourself into a better position to start doing the deeper healing. Okay. And start doing the deeper integrations. But that is literally the key here to understand. Like, all of this has to do with allowing yourself to feel what it is that you're truly feeling, to actually feel what you're truly feeling on an emotional level, on a sensational level, without judgment, but with full acceptance. And to then be aware of, where am I in regards to my nervous system? Because if I know where I'm at in my nervous system, then I can start understanding why what is happening around me is happening. So if I'm in a fight or flight state response, nervous system wise, guess what my reality around me is going to project back to me? The same types of fight or flight energies, the same types of separate energies of seeing things separated, the same type of energy of competition and, protecting, and then it's going to be mixed in with different traumas from my own personal history. So when you're in that dysregulated state, it's also going to show you things from your own personal history with your trauma, because that's what's triggering you in that state in the first place, is the remembrance on an emotional level with what it is that you experienced in the past. So rather than being in that state, and then experiencing the world in a very uncomfortable way, and then thinking you have a mental illness or thinking that you need to be on medication, if you actually understand the process and you understand what your nervous system is doing and why it's doing it, you can have more acceptance for the dysregulation that you might be in. Then you can allow yourself to start honoring your emotions and your sensations in that dysregulated state, and then create the safety in the way that you can, and work on having that healthier foundation in your life, and naturally start watching yourself returning naturally, without having to control it, to a regulated state, where then you feel lighter, you feel connected to all things, and you're no longer always scanning everything for a threat, scanning everything as if it is a threat. And this is when your life starts to change drastically. And then once again, the more experienced you are with being regulated, the more you're understanding slowly and surely how to return back to regulation when you get dysregulated. And your capacity, every time it happens, every time you fluctuate between these different nervous system states, all the way from green light, yellow light to red light, you're expanding nervous system capacity. So your nervous system is getting better at, when you're truly like honoring the process, and honoring the emotional processing, you're getting better at maintaining a regulated state. You're getting literally better at being in a regulated state because your capacity is expanding. So there are less things that actually bring you into dysregulation. It's not that it's not going to happen again. It will happen, but there are less things that do it. So something that may be really sensitive for you right now, as you're starting to work with that sensitivity and process the emotion that's behind it, when you get more to a regulated state after integrating that same sensitivity that once triggered you is no longer triggering you the same way while you're in that regulated state. Because once again, you honored the emotional processing. You found acceptance for those different parts of you that are connected to these different emotions. You allowed them space to exist. You felt what it is that they're feeling. You've sensed it on your body and you've integrated it. And as you've integrated that through the system, you get lighter and you move more into regulation. And therefore, when that thing comes around again, it's much less likely that you're going to get back into that same triggered state and move into a dysregulated nervous system state. And this is the whole process. And this is why understanding these things is so valuable. There is so much value to gain from exactly what it is that I'm communicating right now. And I promise you this, like, if you can do more research and you can study this to an even deeper degree, then I highly encourage you to do that and look into it. And you won't be disappointed whatsoever. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what it is that I wanted to talk about in our today's video. I wanted to just give you this understanding and give you this clarity on what's going on inside of your own nervous system. So, hopefully, you can really allow yourself to become more aware of what's going on within your own system and you can honor this process to a deeper degree. Why? Because you deserve it. And you deserve to live in a certain way where you feel good, where you feel regulated. And it honestly is a simple process and it's a practical process to get yourself there. The body naturally wants to get there and you don't have to be in control of it. All you need to understand though are these basics. And even though I'm saying it's a simple process and it's practical, that doesn't mean it's easy because it's not going to be easy. There are absolutely going to be challenges to this and it's not easy starting to face your emotions or feel your emotions and to process them. That is also a fact. But as you have the proper support and the proper education and once again the safety to be able to do this, you will thank yourself so deeply because everything in your life will start to shift. It's going to change the way you resonate on a deep energetic level and that will shift so many things in your life experience. Okay, so with that being said, this is exactly what it is that I really wanted to communicate. So we're going to wrap it up there. I have a client call coming up pretty soon here, so I'm going to go through this pretty quick. If you gain value from this video, hit the thumbs up button. Let me also say this too. When it comes to this type of understanding and this type of education, this stuff matters. This stuff deeply matters when it comes to your own occult journeys, because I know a lot of you are occultists and a lot of you are getting into these deeper spiritual practices of initiation. This is the backbone of what you're going to be working with when you're getting into these deeper occult initiations. So, to have this education, it is going to serve you very well. Do not disregard this kind of stuff when it comes to the nervous system, when it comes to trauma. All right. All right. So, with that being said, once again, hit the thumbs up if you got value from this. Drop down in the comment section. Let me know how this influenced you. I would love to hear your perspective on this. Like, literally, just let me know what you learned from this. Let me know if you gained anything. Let me know your own personal perspective. I would love to hear that. Go ahead and hit the notification bell and get notified whenever I'm posting this content. You absolutely do not want to be missing out when it is that I'm posting this content. It's very, clearly, it's very valuable. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel because by subscribing, you are further linking into my content. There is an energetic component that goes behind this. So if you want to further connect with everything it is that I'm doing, go and subscribe to my channel. If you don't, go ahead and forget about it. All right. Now, if you have any friends or family that will gain value from this content, I encourage you to share this video with them. Go ahead and copy and paste the link and send it to them. Let them know. This could literally transform someone's life. So go ahead and do them the favor, do yourself the favor. And of course, it's going to be doing me that favor as well. And that's always appreciated. Now I'm going to take your awareness to literally the most important link within the YouTube description itself. This is my Patreon. Okay. My Patreon is an entire vault of over 260 exclusive videos that are only accessible to the Patreon members. So if you want to gain access to really deep occult knowledge, ritualistic practices of occultism that you don't find anywhere else, education on Kabbalah initiation when it comes to these deeper degrees of self development with occultism, nervous system regulation, stuff like this, education on how trauma functions, as well as how to create a healthier foundation. All of these things are over on my Patreon and they are grouped in different collections so that you can have an organized way to decide what it is that you're trying to study. All of this is over on my Patreon. So definitely make sure you go and you check that out if you're interested. Now, tier number 3 and 4 gives you access to a very unique aspect of what I offer to my collective consciousness. This is what's called the Universe B Vampire Ritual. Now, this is an actual ritual that I perform on the 29th of every single month that has one. So the deadline to sign up is the 28th, and it's performed on every single month that has a 29th on that day. This is an energetic transfer from me to you. This is going to cause some significant shifts in regards to your own nervous system and the repressed emotions that are existing within it. What it's going to initiate is it's going to initiate these things to start bubbling up to the surface so that you can start facing them, working with them, and then integrating them slowly but surely. Now, what I'm also doing is I'm changing the energetic spin on your energy body to spin more so in a counterclockwise direction, which actually puts it in resonance with the black hole that exists within our galaxy. This is where this universe B vampire effect comes into play because there's an extremely magnetizing component that goes behind this. So what it does to the energy field is not only does it surface repressed energies that you then process, but it makes you more able to integrate and process dark energy and chaos in general to the extent when you get used to doing this, you can pull energy out of someone's false self, integrate it into your own power, and then surface their own repressed emotions so that they can face them themselves, which is actually a very healing thing to do for another person. So, in many respects, it becomes a win win circumstance along the lines of healing. Okay. And this is what proper occult vampirism actually looks like when you're using it in alignment with soul growth. All right. This is that ritualistic service. Now, everyone that is also a part of this ritual is getting placed into what is called an Atlantean crystal grid, which is giving a consistent energetic streamline of support to all of the members that are a part of this ritual service. There's over 700 members, well over 700 members that are on the Patreon now. There's well over 200, at this point, I think there's 300 people that are actively taking place in this ritual service on the 29th of every single month, and it's only continuing to grow. If this is something you're in resonance with, take advantage of it. But let me say this, it's not for everyone. This is for people that are really willing to go through this deeper work and are really in resonance with some of these darker aspects of spiritual evolution itself. Now, if that is you, then this service is definitely for you. If you're interested, first link in that description, we'll leave it there. Second link, this is where you can book a one-on-one call with me or you can book a mentorship. I'm very passionate about these mentorships. My schedule is very full with them right now. Once again, if it's something you're interested in, second link below. Also, in the same second link, this is where you can book a tarot card reading with Alexia. She is a very gifted tarot card reader and she can pinpoint where you are right now in this present moment, what you're experiencing, and then tell you what to expect in your near future while connecting all of these things back to the Kabbalistic tree to give you a deeper insight on what you're going through. So if you want to book that, second link below as well. Third link is the Lucifers Foundation course. This is an extremely valuable course for anyone that is looking to develop a powerful yet healthy relationship with the energy known as a Lucifer. Definitely go ahead and look into this if this is something you want to take advantage of. There's tons of people that have already purchased this course. People are literally buying it every single day. Okay, third link below. Fourth link below. This is the YouTube memberships. If you want to become a YouTube member and join within the community, I would first and foremost love to have you. It's always nice to see familiar faces. It's always nice to see like minded individuals all in one place. Join the membership. I would love to have you a part of the family. Now, also, with that being said, there are different benefits that you're gaining access to at the same time by being a part of the membership. So go ahead and look into that if you're interested. Fifth link is the book recommendations that I have for you. So this is going to give you literally everything that you need to know and everything that you need to understand in regards to working with different spirits, the initiatory process, the major arcana, the tunnels of Set, all of this valuable, dense, and powerful occult knowledge in one location right at your fingertips. And most importantly, easy to understand. It is a 4 ebook bundle that you gain instant access to when you purchase it. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely look into it. All that I ask of you is that if you end up purchasing, recommend it to a friend. Okay? Recommend it to someone that you also feel like will gain value from it. Now, with that being said, this is going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.